Hi, ladies. Welcome to the Friday Debrief.
Hi, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. So here we are again. We're delighted to have Caitlin O'Reilly back with us again. Caitlin, this is your second time on the Learn, Teach, Lead podcast. So we're happy to have you again.
Yes, it is. What an honor to be the second guest.
Exactly. So I really can't wait to hear all about this week. You have been so busy down there in the third grade wing, I know, running students' data and making some short-term plans and really taking all of this to the next level. So I'm going to turn it over to Robyn so she can talk to us a little bit about what has been happening and how we've been leveraging AI to help our students meet with success. So go ahead, Robyn, take it away.
Thank you. And I just want to say, I think that, the goal of this YouTube video is to really show that we don't only just we're not just informed by AI data, and we don't just, read it to analyze it. It's now actually empowering our students. And I think that that's the one thing that we want to get across today. By doing this for the last 8 months and looking at the data and tracking it and making, really reflective decisions on best practices that I've been using in my classroom, I can now say that I'm really feeling my students are being empowered. And I want to talk a little bit about how that happened today with Kate as well. So we, have been doing writing feedback with my class in third grade, as well as the entire third grade. And through that process, we really found out different strategies of support that we need to put in for our students to be successful as great writers and find their writer's voice. So, we've been using the ICE-T method of planning, we weren't finding full success with that. So we added our 3 depth of knowledge sentences, which are the MMM, make it your own, why does it matter, and what does it mean? And since we did that, our students are really finding their voice and really writing about, really having great writing success with that plan. So I've been working super hard to look at their pieces of writing, to score them, to run them through ChatGPT and Magic Schools, to come up with strategies, to reflect on it, to implement those strategies the next day with small group guided instruction, as well as whole class instruction. So my class has been doing this for a while now, and they've really gotten very comfortable with it. And we see that their success is really starting to rise with looking at all of this personalized instruction. So for Learn, Teach, and Lead, right? So that's how we learn, teach, and lead. I decided to do the same thing with my class, my third grade class. They learned the strategy. We taught them the strategy using this AI data strategy enhancements that they gave us for our writing feedback. We targeted their instruction, and then we had them lead. And that leading went into turnkeying this entire process into Caitlin's class, and my students were actually the teachers. And they learned, taught, and led Caitlin's class. They came into my class. And you know what's funny? At first, when they came in, my class, the confidence that they had. They welcomed the students. They helped them. They guided them. It was so wonderful to see that self-esteem and that really boost of confidence for them as writers. And some of my students expressed to me when they first came, writing was not their favorite subject. And to see those students now take on that ownership and accountability of teaching other students, it was just like a teacher's dream. And Kate, you can also jump in and talk about when your class came into my class, your class was a little bit more reserved and really, were very good listeners, but didn't have the full confidence that my class had while teaching your class. And you can kind of maybe roll from there of what happened after that.
Yeah, sure. So like Robyn said, when my students first went into her class, they were definitely shy, they were reserved, like they were so willing and ready to learn from your kiddos. And I think that that was really powerful. They've learned a lot from us as their writing teachers, but to be able to now learn from their peers, I think was very powerful. They then came back into my class, and then the next day we did an almost identical writing prompt with 2 other informational paired texts. So they had to then find similarities and differences for 2 texts on their own. And they did a lot better than they would have done, before learning from your students. I then told them, oh, now you get to become the leaders. You're the experts. And I was very interested to see, how they would kind of approach that, just knowing how quiet and reserved they initially were in Robyn's classroom. And their faces lit up. They were like, oh, we get to go into another 3rd grade class now. We get to go teach our friends. And I'm like, yes, you did such a great job. We really feel like you learned everything that you could, and now you're doing it independently. And going into our colleague Anna Maria's classroom was really wonderful to see, because even some of my lower writers were chiming in and saying things like, oh, well, you need some text evidence here. Oh, don't forget to put the title of the article. So it really was, I think, a very teachable, not only moment for them, but experience in general. I definitely saw a confidence boost in them with their work, but even just their body language, their facial expressions, and the level of participation as well. They're raising their hands more. They're more confident to even share their ideas in writing, whereas before maybe they would have second guessed that a little bit.
That's so wonderful to hear. And I'm just curious to hear both of your perspectives on this, because our kids have been on a steady diet of writing workshops since kindergarten, right? So this is not new for them to peer edit and work together in partners. So I'm curious to see, did you feel like could you compare the partnerships that you had in this writing experience to what you've seen before in, let's say, our traditional writing workshop? Did you feel that the students exhibited more or less confidence? Was there more or less conversation in their partnerships? How do you feel that went?
I feel that their partnerships were purposeful, if I could say that, and because, when we do writers workshop, we partner, we peer edit, but by looking at their data and finding their strengths and weaknesses and pairing them up according to those strengths and weaknesses, I feel like it was a purposeful partnership, which led to empowerment of finding their writer's voice together as partners. So I feel like it's, partnerships are wonderful in any aspect, but these were more purposeful because we did a lot of the back work of personalizing their instructions so that they could have that targeted goal for both of the partners.
Yeah, I was going to say the conversations seemed very meaningful. The students were definitely on task a lot more than we have seen in the past, and their stamina levels as well, in terms of staying on task with the writing, and the actual writing and typing skills themselves have, I think, increased as well.
Right. And I was wondering if it had something to do with the fact that the structure that we taught into, the ICE and the 3 depth of knowledge questions, the MMM, that gives them something to hang their hat on, right? So when they sit with other students, they know exactly what they're looking for. And I wondered if that maybe contributed to, and the fact that we have paired them so thoughtfully using AI to pair them together. But that's just great news. That's wonderful. I really can't wait until the NJSLA. I really want to see how all this plays out when they have this independent opportunity to show what they know. So it should be great.
Absolutely. And, it was so nice to see that turnkey process really, just empowered so many young writers to really have that self-esteem that they can do this. It might be hard, but they can do it. And by using those strategy groups, it was just priceless to see the level of enthusiasm and the level of confidence that targeted instruction can bring to the table.
That's great.
And
So
I
what
would
else was
say, like, the feedback from AI is not deterring the students from trying harder. It's actually invigorating them, and it's giving them that purposeful challenge. Like, well, I want to get that 3. Like, I want to get there. Sometimes in the past, students who maybe were a little bit more shy as writers could shut down if they didn't, really care for the feedback that they were getting. But I think because it's coming from their teachers, of course, but also, then we run their writing pieces through AI and they peer edit, they peer share. I think they're just getting more comfortable in general with feedback. And that's also really helping them become better writers. And it's also, I think, putting more of that ownership on them too.
Yeah. And I was going to say, because feedback becomes reflection, right? So once they get this feedback, they're able to reflect on it and, either keep some of the things that they liked, or just like we do with lesson, change the direction that they want to go. So if there's no feedback to do that, then they just keep going down that straight path, but with that reflection piece of the, targeting that instruction, they're able to kind of gear their way through that whole writing process.
Yeah, absolutely. This is all great stuff. And I know that the third grade got together and you actually videoed your grade level meeting where you were going over some of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We got together. So you have to tune in for that episode. I'll just give you a little hint. We were on a 3-day sprint writing in third grade. So you're going to have to tune into the 3-day sprint.
Yes. Yeah, that work has been amazing, honestly. Like, it's probably been one of my favorite weeks this year at school. Just personally, I've been reflecting a lot on my own teaching practices and the incorporation of AI into it. And it really is such a game changer. Like, I really feel like I am a better teacher because we are able to use our own, skills that we know and have used for a long time to read and analyze student work, but then to be able to now also incorporate AI into that. It's a huge time saver, and it gives us more opportunities to collaborate, and it honestly gives us so much more time to come up with those meaningful activities. And we were able to collaborate 3-4 times this week to really hit hard on the specific teaching points that the kids needed. And they met them with success, and they thought it was fun too. Like, it's really, it's so different from anything that we've done before, but it seems so powerful.
And just as you know, as an administrator, Janine, it not only empowers the students, but all of this work empowers the teachers as well. And that's a win-win.
Absolutely. I was just going to say there's an energy and an enthusiasm, a little buzz going throughout the building among the teachers. I think that the idea that you have this expert insight into your kids' work, and then you can talk to your colleagues about it. And I knew when I told you I first learned about AI this summer. And when I saw the excitement in the room, I thought, this is a really powerful tool in the hands of creative teachers, and teachers are just coming up with new and exciting ways to use it. And just the expansion of how you've been using it in your classrooms, taking it from just let's try and run one piece through Magic Schools and get some feedback to let's look at it across a grade level. Let's see if we can target instruction in cycles, like 3-day sprints or a 5-week plan, or a 7-day plan to hone in on those skills that they really need. It's been quite remarkable.
Yeah. And more remarkable work to come.
Okay. All right. Very good. So anything else for this week?
No, but we will be doing a math one very shortly, right? Kate, we're going to be combining.
Yes.
We've been starting we've been focusing a lot on writing, but also we've been sprinkling in math as well. So we're going to, we've been trying the math as well, kind of to run it through, to look for patterns of learning, to look at what we need to really refine, what skills we need to work on. I know, Kate, you were working on that in your class as well.
Yeah, this week I gave my students a math writing prompt where they had to answer a multiple step problem, and I had them type it. I ran the data through Magic Schools, and I looked to see how did they score. Not too bad, not too hot though. So, I asked ChatGPT, please give me, 5 teaching points that I can use for every single student to meet, success with the rubric. And I was given really great pointers that the kids can totally do. It was like including math vocabulary, making sure they're using transition words, and to make those connections to the writing, I think was really strong this week. And they did a second one today, and the scores did improve. So I was so thrilled. The kids were taking their time. They were saying, first I used this equation, then I did this, next I did this. In conclusion, this is how I found the, whatever it was, the product of 5 times 8. So it's really fun to kind of, now intertwine it into different subject areas and to see the kids be excited about it and be successful with it.
And I know, Kate, you were saying to me cross curriculum, they were using the iced tea method in their math writing response.
Yes. They're like, wait, do we do an iced tea right now? I'm like, well, you could.
Yes, absolutely.
They were all about it. It's so cool.
And maybe we'll have to do an episode about the connection to the Part A, Part B reading questions. Oh. That would be a good one to kind of unpack together too. But really exciting stuff. So I don't actually know who's watching our YouTube videos, but if anybody out there is in New Jersey, in the area, and you want to come to our school and take a look and see how we do it in the classroom, or if you're doing something exciting in your schools, we'd love to come and visit. I just am so excited about the potential for this. I think it could really lift the level of learning, not just here, but all across the state. So yeah, good stuff, ladies. Good stuff. So I think that's it. We put in a full week. We sure have.
Yes. First week back from spring break too. We should feel good.
Exactly. So thank you for joining us for the Friday debrief, and I look forward to next week.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.